Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Voodoo Garden. My name is Ray. I will be your host again today. And look, this is a garden bench. Yeah, this is a backdrop that you've seen in a lot of the Voodoo Garden videos. And I use it for a plant stand, but it's actually a garden bench. Yeah, I got this for Christmas one year, and it was supposed to be for outside in the garden. And I thought, no, I want it in the Voodoo Garden because this would actually look good in the Voodoo Garden. Outside, I probably wouldn't sit on it. Inside, I can use it to put plants on it. I'm always looking for things to put plants on because, let's face it, this room is not as big as you might think. It's actually a very small room. I just kind of make it look as big as possible. And this is a very small room, but I do what I can with what I have to work with. And what I have to work with is a very small room. See how I come back on that? But I try to be as creative as possible with the placing of the plants. I put tall plants over to the side, lower light plants underneath them, some plants up on a shelf. I move them around, I change the lights. I do all kinds of weird magic in here to try to keep the plants as happy as possible. And this little thin mint that I mentioned in I think it was the last episode? Yeah, the last episode. This is that compost coir mix. And there was a person who was a little confused with this, and I don't want anybody to be confused. Now, when I squashed this down and dried it out, I didn't dry it in an oven. No, I dried it at room temperature in my basement. And the compost that I make outside, of course, has fungi, bacteria, all kinds of microbes, and you name it, it's got it. It's got the stuff that makes magic. And if you bake it in an oven, you may kill some of that stuff, but I didn't bake this in an oven. I dried it naturally at room temperature. So if there's any bacteria, any fungi, any of that stuff in there, it's not dead. Drying stuff does not kill these soil organisms. They go into hibernation, they go into stasis. And that's what they're doing in here. So this is not dead, it's just asleep. So when I rehydrate this into water, all of those little goodies that are in the soil are going to come back to life. Once the water hits them, they're going to come back to life. And that's just how nature works. I didn't invent this, I just take advantage of it. And that's how it's going to work. So this will have all the good stuff that soil is made of. So if I use it for soil, it's going to have all of the life that's in soil. Or if I were to dry compost and compress it and have the discs to store for food so I can make my own compost tea all the time, that will have all the good stuff of compost tea and all the bacteria and all the good stuff to put back into the soil. So I just want to let you guys know, no, that is how biology works. At least that's how it works in the Voodoo Garden. And I wanted to give you guys a little bit more of a tour of what's going on because like I said, there is a lot going on in the Voodoo Garden and it cannot be captured all in one episode. And this little thing, I didn't put a tag in it, and I believe it's called a Buddha Belly. I just love that name. I grew it just because of the name. I thought Buddha Belly, that's got to be a fun plant to grow. And I was right. It is a fun plant to grow. Somebody sent me seeds. I believe it was seeds for this. And I grew this and it was very unremarkable. But then as it grew, it got better and better. So whoever sent me this Buddha Belly thing, yeah, this is your plant. It's a real cute little thing. And notice right up here, see how it gets bigger? Yeah. And that's one of the reasons they call it Buddha Belly. If you look this up on Google and you see the more mature specimens, they have this bulbous looking stem and they have these really odd leaves. But at the top, look at us going to the top. See? It has a cluster of leaves and this is how they come out. Yeah, it's really actually quite bizarre. And you know me, I like bizarre. Some folks mistook this as a sensitive plant. This is not a sensitive plant. Sensitive plants are called Mimosa pudica. And if you run your finger along the stems, the leaves will close. That's a defense mechanism, yeah. And this is not that. This is a tamarind. A tamarind is a tree. It's an actual tree, not just a little plant. It's a full-blown tree that you get these beans off of, these pods. And they're used a lot in Mexico. But the pods have these seeds in them, and the seeds have goo on them. And you eat the goo off. It's kind of tart, yet sweet. And it's used in Mexican candies and cooking and stuff like that. But I grew this because they are so easy to germinate, and you can get a whole bag of pods for just a couple dollars at any Mexican specialty store and at some grocery stores in the Mexican food section. So if you want to get seeds that are cheap and you're going to grow a beautiful plant, by the way, these are velvety smooth. They grow perfectly indoors, and normally it grows one long, slender plant that looks kind of like this, but I pruned it back. You know me, I love to chop the heads off of little things. Maybe I should see a psychiatrist. But this is what I did. I chopped off the main plant, and this is not just a leaf. This is an actual stem from, I mean, it's a growing tip. Yeah, and it'll continue growing, and the same thing over here. And the same thing under here and here. Yes, you can work all kinds of magic when you start pruning plants, depending on the plant. But this one responds extremely well, and it's so hard to kill, and it's a beauty. It is an absolute beauty when it grows. So if you want to have a fun plant that's inexpensive to get and easy to grow, Tamarind is the one to get. This looks very similar to an ivy I grew when I lived in Seattle, and it was called a German ivy. You can look that one up on Google if you'd like, but this is not a German ivy. In fact, it's not an ivy at all. Do you know what this is? Can you guess? Yeah, this is cotton. Yeah, I've been growing this. Remember, back before I went on hiatus in the voodoo garden, I was growing a plant, and it was called green cotton. Yeah, well, this is that cotton plant. And the stem on the inside, look at that. That is one woody stem. I grew it, and it grew too tall, so I pruned it back, and it grew too wide, and I pruned it back, and you know me, snip, snip, snip. And this thing just will not stop growing. It produced endless flowers, beautiful flowers, and I showed those on Facebook, and they look like another flower that I've seen before, a hibiscus flower, yeah. And they're just beautiful, and then they form these cotton balls that get really huge, and then they open up, and there's green cotton. Yeah, not white cotton. You think that all cotton is white? No, it's green. And I was going to throw this away. I figured, well, you know, went to seed, it grew the cotton, and so I cut it back, and I forgot all about it. Well, it won't stop growing. I think I can grow this as a perennial bush. Yeah. So we're going to see how long I can keep this cotton plant going. That's actually quite remarkable. I always just assumed it would grow, flower, fruit, and die. Well, not so. Your morning dose of crackhead. Yep, he's in the voodoo garden as well. He keeps the crickets under control and the millipedes. He doesn't like millipedes. Actually, he doesn't like the flavor of millipedes, but he loves biting them. You mean little dog. You may not remember this plant because last time you saw it, it was almost as tall as me. This was right in front of the garden bench last episode, and this is a castor plant. Yep, it's only about maybe 7 inches tall now. I cut it down because I just did not have the room for it. I cut it down, and look, stupid gnats. Darn it, I don't like those things. But regardless of the stupid gnats, woo, unnecessary close-up. But I had to do that, sorry. But aside from that unnecessary close-up, he doesn't know what I'm pointing at over here. But aside from that unnecessary close-up, look. Yeah, I pruned it down, and in just that one short week, look at this. All kinds of new growth growing on all sides of this plant. Yep, this is going to be a short, beautiful bush. And I grew it as tall as I wanted to get it, but you know what? I don't have that kind of room, so I'm going to turn this into a bit of a bush. And if I can keep it alive over the winter, maybe I'll set it out next year, and it could get really, really huge. Oh, that's nasty. This is what happens if you're a bug in the voodoo garden. Yep, see, Asian beetles. The only thing on the planet that will eat an Asian beetle is a crackhead dog. That thing's got to taste awful. Yeah, well, you wouldn't have that horrible taste in your mouth if you weren't eating those stinky bugs. Ugh. Asian beetles. It's what's for breakfast. Many, many months ago during the summer, I showed a Coleus, and that's what this is. This is one of many different types of Coleus. There are a million different kinds of Coleus, one for every mood that you could possibly be in. This is a beauty. Normally they're grown outside for accents to borders, but you can grow them inside extremely well. And they don't require a lot of care. All they require is bright, diffused light, rich soil, and plenty of root space because they do grow fast. Look at the size of these leaves. They're velvety smooth, and they do. They look like velvet and they feel like velvet. And see the deep color here? The deep red that comes out and it turns into this. But look at this. And then this. You know, this is all of this is the exact same plant. Yep. It has a wide variety of colors. It starts out green, then it gets the blood-looking color in its leaves. Then as it gets older, it does this. And the camera does not do this justice. It is exquisite in person. And then when it's full grown, it turns into this. Now what I suggest, if you're going to grow a Coleus, give it a good sized pot. But also, as it grows, clip out the center part as it grows and encourage the inner growth. And what will happen is the outside part will start falling down and vining up. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. I have a good example of this. Here's where I clipped it out, and you can see that it's growing off to the side and then up. That's good. It's going to fall down and kind of vine out. Meanwhile, the inner growth, that's growing up and that's going out, and then more inner growth is coming in and going out. It kind of layers itself, and it really gives it a big, huge, full, beautiful, multicolored look. And it's a really, really nice plant. You haven't seen this before. I don't think you have. This is my plate of seeds, and some of them look like little aliens. Look at this. These are the seed pods of the castor bean plant. Yep, it forms little flowers that you really don't even notice, and then it forms these spiked pods, and then the pods open up and little castor beans fall out. See the little castor beans right down there? Yep, those are castor beans. And then right over here, this is that green cotton I was talking about. I wasn't lying. This is cotton. And inside the cotton, if you take the time and you have two hands to work with instead of one, like me, you can feel little bumps in there. And if you pull the cotton to the side, hold on a second, I'll pull the cotton to the side. Through the magic of editing, this is the seed. Yep, it contains a bunch of, there's a bunch of seeds in here. And I'm going to eventually have to remove this cotton from there. But those are the cotton seeds. Yep, cotton balls. And then over here, there's a lot of these. These are really strange, and there are a billion seeds. These are from the tobacco plant. Remember I was growing the tobacco plant? Well, each flower, a trumpet-shaped flower that it has, will put out one of these as a pod. You wait until they're dry on the plant, and then you squeeze them, and this is what you're going to get. See that? It is smaller than black pepper. It is incredibly tiny, and there are a billion of them in each pod. So I have enough tobacco here to populate the entire planet if I want. Yeah, they will put out over and over and over. It is one of the most productive plants seed-wise that I've ever seen in my life. You think about that, one plant, one seed, put out enough flowers, and I even gave up after a while. I just had way too many. It'll put out enough seeds to give to everybody you could possibly know and a few people you don't know. Kind of nice up here, huh? Yeah, you like this. Almost makes him forget the taste of that Asian beetle. That was disgusting. He was snorting and running all over the place. You gotta know, they are awful. They taste awful. That's why no animal wants to eat them except dumb dogs. But you're my dumb dog. Yes, you are. Anyway, one last thing before I go out of here. I want to make sure that everybody had a chance to win those Prax cherry seeds on the previous episode. I'm pointing and he's sniffing my hand. But anyway, I wasn't being lazy or anything. Well, actually, maybe just a little lazy. But I wanted to give you a couple weeks so that you would have time to watch that episode and then enter if you wanted to win those cherry tomato seeds. So everybody that posted a comment, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for making that video such a success. I think I got like 1,700 or something like, some crazy amount of people entering that. But 100 people at random are going to be selected. I'm going to send you a private message with full details on how to win those seeds. So check your YouTube private messages, and if you got one from me, you won. If you didn't get one from me, you didn't win. So please don't send me a message asking if you won, because I don't know. All I know is I'm sending a message, and then when you reply to that message, give me the information that I'm requesting, and I will get your envelope off into the mail, and you will have some cherry tomato seeds to grow in your own garden, whether it's indoors or outdoors, your choice. But I'm hoping that you'll enjoy those seeds, grow them, save some seeds, and share them with your friends. That would be a great thing, and that would actually make it so worth it for me. Okay, I gotta get going. Thank you everybody for joining me for this short episode in the Voodoo Garden. I really do appreciate it. On behalf of Roscoe and I, let's do this together, okay? We're out of here. Have a great day, everybody. We are out of here. Okay, see, you're supposed to go like this, like that. Raise your hand. No? Do you want to go eat another bug? Okay. Fine, eat another bug.